In a world where the desert stretches vast and unyielding, where the horizon feels like the edge of time itself, Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian stands as a haunting masterpiece. Few works capture the brutality of human nature and the indifference of the natural world with such poetic force. In this episode of 5-Minute Literary Gems, I'm taking you deep into McCarthy's world. Through a series of carefully chosen passages, we'll explore the desolation of the desert, the ritual of violence, and the mythic power of Judge Holden. These aren't just excerpts, they're windows into a novel that feels as timeless as the land it describes.
They crossed the terrain where the earth had cracked and split, like the shell of some ancient beast, the air brittle with heat and the horizon endless. Around them, the stones bore strange marks, carvings weathered to faint scars that seemed older than man. They moved through this desolation like figures in a fevered dream, the boy watching the judge, who rode at the front, his face calm as stone. The earth is no less a grave than the air above it, the judge said. All is a place of burial, and we are but its tenants.
The vastness of the desert isn't just a setting, it's a force, ancient and unyielding. But within it, McCarthy shows us something darker. Violence, not as chaos, but as ritual. In the next passage, the judge, a philosopher as much as he is a terrifying figure, offers a chilling perspective on humanity's oldest practice.
The company rode through a canyon where the walls rose up in sheer cliffs, the rock blackened by ancient fires. They came upon a settlement burned to its bones, and among the ruins lay the dead, sprawled as if cast there by some great and terrible wind. The judge dismounted and walked among them, his boots raising small puffs of ash. He crouched near the remains of a man and lifted a skull, turning it in his hands. Man is a god when he kills, he said. No other act is so absolute. The boy watched him. The judge let the skull fall, and it shattered against the stones. See how the bones bleach under the sun, the judge said. Time burns away the flesh and leaves only this, pure, white, uncorrupted by thought. Such is the work of war.
The judge, massive, pale, and utterly commanding, he's one of the most unforgettable characters in all of literature. Around the campfire, beneath a vast night sky, he speaks of power, chaos, and truth in a way that feels both magnetic and terrifying. Let's step closer to the fire and listen.
He danced at the fire, his massive frame moving with a grace that defied its size, his face lit with a terrible joy. Around him, the men watched, some with awe, some with dread. He laughed, his voice carrying over the night, and it seemed to them that he was more than a man, that he was the spirit of the desert itself, eternal and unyielding. When he stopped, he turned to them. The world is a crucible, he said. It is the fire in which men are forged and broken. You can see it in the stones, in the way they bear the marks of creation and destruction alike. There is no order but what we impose upon it, no truth but what we make for ourselves.
But Blood Meridian doesn't just dwell on the ground. McCarthy has a way of pulling back, zooming out to the stars, to the vastness of the universe, and reminding us just how small we are. In this passage, the judge turns his gaze upward, and what he says might leave you questioning everything.
At night, the sky stretched black and endless, the stars scattered like grains of sand cast into the void. The boy lay on his back and stared into that abyss, and it seemed to him that the world itself had no end, no boundary. The judge's voice came to him, low and steady. The universe is a terrible place, infinite and unfeeling, and yet here you are. What will you make of it? The boy looked at the stars and thought of all the lives he had seen taken, of the faces that stared back at him from the dust. He thought of the judge and his words, of the way he seemed to command the very air around him. And in that vast emptiness, He felt himself small and weightless, a speck of dust on the wind.
Finally, we come to the heart of it all, the dance. For McCarthy, and for the judge, the world is chaos, and we are its players. In this final passage, the judge delivers a message that's as haunting as it is unforgettable.
At the dawn, they came upon a place where the land was strewn with bones, a plain that stretched to the horizon, empty and silent. The judge walked ahead, his great frame casting a long shadow in the early light. He paused and turned to the boy, his expression unreadable. "This is the world," he said. "There is no order here, only the illusion of it, and you, like all men, must dance to the music of chaos." The boy stared out across the plain, his eyes tracing the broken shapes of ribs and skulls half buried in the dirt. The judge smiled. "The dance is eternal. It is the rhythm of the earth, the pulse of the stars. You are part of it, whether you will it or not."
Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian isn't just a novel, it's an experience. A journey through landscapes so vivid, they seem alive. Through violence so raw, it feels ritualistic. And through questions so profound, they leave you thinking long after you've turned the last page. It's the kind of book that stays with you, reshaping the way you see the world. If these passages gave you even a glimpse of McCarthy's genius, I can't recommend Blood Meridian enough. And if you want to explore more of the world's greatest prose, subscribe to 5-Minute Literary Gems. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave your comments below. And if you've read this book, tell me the passages that resonated with you the most. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.